Well, good afternoon, everyone. Here we are for our January. Sorry about that, folks. It's pandemic time. It's May 20th, for our Spotlight on History. Welcome back. Again, I'm sorry that we can't be together in person. We have a special guest today. Ellie Hill has done a fantastic video for us on Jennie Dean. But for those of you that might not know about Jennie Dean, we're going to talk a little bit about that before we show this great video that she did. How many of you knew that Jennie Dean actually was the instrumental person behind the creation and the building of the Manassas Industrial School? That's one of our historic sites that's here, and it's actually open. You can go out and walk the paths over there, see the outlines of the buildings. There's a three-dimensional model and some great information over there. So if you're not familiar with that site, I encourage you to check it out. But we also have here at the museum an exhibit, very small, about Jennie Dean and also education in general. So this section here is on education. We talk a little bit about the Manassas Industrial School for Colored Youth that you see here. And that was the school that was founded by Jennie Dean, founded in 1908. The picture above is the class of 1908, so that's the inaugural class. That's one of my favorite images in the collection. You can see here, this young man in the front is holding a pennant or a banner that says Manassas 08, so that's really cool. This building or school was located just at the end of modern-day Prince William Street. It was 200 acres and 12 buildings, and they were open for 44 years, so that's a long time. Now remember, this was at a time when education was segregated in Virginia and across the rest of the American South, so there were not a lot of opportunities for African-American men and women to go to school, and Jennie Dean understood that education was the silver bullet that you needed to be able to make your way in society, and so she made sure that we had a school here. It was both vocational and academic training, and many of the graduates went on to become leaders in their own communities. So you'll see now that we're seeing a picture of Frederick Douglass. Most of you should recognize the name of Frederick Douglass, but how many of you knew that he gave the keynote address right here in Manassas on September 3rd, 1894, when the school was opened? And so he was here, one of the more famous people from our past to visit Manassas, and that's a great picture of him that we got from the Library of Congress. And we think he probably looked like that during his visit here. That's a picture of him as an older gentleman. So we're always looking to collect things about the Dean School, and we do actually have in our collection several diplomas that say Manassas Industrial School for Colored Youth on them. And this is a brand new one that we've recently received that you're seeing here. This was recently given to us as a gift by, let me get the name here, Phyllis B. Harrison. It's a member of her family. Now this diploma was awarded to Abner Leroy Adams on May 30th, 1930. So almost, what is that, 90 years ago. So we're coming up on that anniversary. Now, the interesting thing about Abner Leroy Adams is he was born in Fauquier County and lived over there, but came here to go to school because this was the closest opportunity that he had to be able to go to school. And we don't know what he did afterwards for a vocation, but we do know that he joined the United States Army at the outbreak of World War II. And in doing some research on his service record, we found out that Mr. Adams was killed in action on June 6th, 1944. So for those of you that don't recognize the importance of that date, that was the date of the Normandy invasion, Operation Overlord, where the Allied forces began their invasion of Europe to try and take back that continent, which ultimately was successful. So here was an African-American gentleman. The services were not integrated then, and he was overseas in action. He was with the Quartermaster Corps, and so my best guess is he was probably driving a heavy truck or some other piece of equipment and tried to bring that onto the beach and was killed at that time. So his service record does show that he was killed in action then. We do have a picture of Mr. Adams in his uniform, and here he is looking very confident and handsome. And this is his service picture that we believe was taken prior to his leaving for Europe. The original belongs to the family, and they allowed us to copy it. So you're going to hear a lot of really neat stuff about Jennie Dean from Ellie's video, and I don't want to spoil any of that for you, but I will say that we are still working very hard to put the finishing touches on the fundraising for the great big statue that we're making over there. The statue is at the Foundry. of Jennie Dean. So that's going to be hopefully dedicated as soon as we can come back together again. At earliest would be this fall. We don't have a date yet, but keep your eye out for that. So at this point, the video for Ellie is going to start playing at 12:15. So we're gonna toss it over to that here in a second. Again, I invite you to come back every Wednesday at noon for our live Facebook videos, our Spotlights on History, and you'll see me again next week. Now, I will say also that if you guys have anything out there, all our Facebook viewers, if there's something you want to know more about, a piece in the collection that you remember seeing, a topic of local history, comment in the section and we'll do our best to try and provide some information on that, and we'll give the person that suggested it a shout out during that broadcast. So let us know what you want to hear about. We're happy to provide that program. So now we're going to toss it up to Ellie.